sunny day. And my name is Uduak Daniel, and today being March 6, 2024, we'll be looking at something that just happened today or just about 3 days ago, where the Vice President, in the person of Shatima right there, had gone out to launching what he would call outsourcing to Nigeria, looking at how this is going to be a panacea to allowing for the economy to grow and be in a better outlook, right? Nigeria, that is the OTNI, with the aim of tapping into the global business process outsourcing. That's called the BPO market, which is worth about 8.79 some job opportunities, global companies with talented workforce in Nigeria. It is also seen as a way to counter. We're experiencing the hardship. We're experiencing quite a lot going on. We're experiencing the food crisis, the insecurity, and quite a number of things. And all of these are having, an adverse impact on the Nigeria economy. And so the Vice President has highlighted Nigeria as having been advantageous because of our talented workforce and because of the fact that we have a competitive cost, and that it will improve ICT infrastructure and even strategic location. Now, he had also praised, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu leadership, and he had also assured that ongoing reforms would lead to economic prosperity in the future. Recall that the President himself had said that he should be given a little more time, that there are reforms that he has put in place to ensuring that Nigerians, would indeed come out of the wood in terms of the food crisis, in terms of the hunger, in terms of the hardship, in terms of the insecurity, which he says that he, actually inherited from the past administration, in terms of every other thing that faces the country, even power, infrastructure development and all of that. Yeah. So the Vice President, also emphasized the fact that the reforms may pose short term. They might be short term and give us some short-term challenges. They are aimed at strengthening Nigeria's economy and giving Nigeria the potential to become a major player in the global BPO market. So this launch took place somewhere in Gombe State. Yeah, where the first business, process outsourcing, that's the BPO center in the Northeast region, was commissioned. And the center is expected to create over 2,000 job opportunities for youth in Gombe State and beyond. So this process or this initiative is looking at creating about over 2,000, jobs for youths, first of all, in Gombe State, and then, outside the state of Gombe, as other states also begin to cash in on, this initiative. Overall, the initiative seems to aim to showcase Nigeria as a preferred outsourcing destination, and maybe to attract investment or to empower the youth, and also to boost the economy through BPO and IT services. So in case you're wondering, what exactly is the global business process outsourcing market, it refers to the practice of contracting out various business processes or even operations to external service providers. So this processes can include customer service, right? It could also include technical support. It could include accounting, even human resources, and more, right? So companies outsource these tasks to specialized service providers, efficiency. And the BPO market is very massive. It's a massive market with companies worldwide spending billions of dollars annually on outsourcing services. And in essence, it's a way for businesses to focus on their core activities while also delegating non-core functions to specialized external providers. Well, we're going to be joining with a guest that's going to be coming into is going to join us via phone call, as we would be having this conversation with him, right? Our guest is in the person of Adefolarin Olamilekan, that is his name, and it's going to be joining the conversation via phone call. Now, who is he precisely, right? Our guest is one who is he's a political economist. He's a lead researcher and policy analyst at Poll Echo Analytics, think tank and economic research organization that is based in Abuja, Nigeria, right? In the person of Olamilekan, in having a conversation with him in a short bit. Right, so this is what is going on. This initiative, of course, the federal government has promised would allow for us for, job creation. It will indeed also allow for businesses or organizations to tap into the numerous resources that abound in terms of talent acquisition within the Nigerian space. And this indeed should be able to put Nigeria in the edge where, for the BPO market worldwide, not just, for Nigeria alone, not for Africa, but worldwide. And this, of course, is something that the vice president, is looking at putting together, and in Gombe State already it is being launched. Hello, good morning. Okay, we can barely get him online, but we would still get him online and of course have this conversation with him, right? The conversation is still trending right here in the Eagles 102.3 FM as we look at navigating the potential impact of outsourcing initiatives on Nigeria's economy and the citizenry. Well, don't go away. We'll be right back in a short bit.
To the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio. Eagles 102.3.
Has anyone told you you can talk about your business on radio for just 15,000 naira? Get a chance to talk your business for 20 minutes on The Entrepreneur, Mondays to Fridays, 3 p.m. on Eagles 102.3 FM, Abuja. For more inquiries, call 090-9984-4433. 090-9984-4433. The Entrepreneur. Talk your business for just 15,000 naira. Hurry now.
For so long, you've been silenced. We have just found your voice. Take it. Use it.
You assess Nigerians before we become politicians or before you become a member of any political party. The kind of things that happen in Nigeria, this is so obnoxious that if God looks down from heaven, you realize that we are really paying for our sins.
Speak your truth and be heard on the Eagles Morning Rise, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eagles 102.3 FM, your radio experience you can count on.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. It is the Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. And yes, we're still talking about matters that concern, the issue of navigating through what is going on, especially with bringing about the necessary change that Nigeria seeks to have within the outsourcing space, as commissioned by the Vice President Shatima right there. And of course, this is something that happens to be what many are saying that is a step in the right directions. As there's also the fact that when we consider the Nigerian volatile economy and the state of affairs in view of the corruption and in view of the hunger, and with a high level of inflation that has been pegged to about 29%, the question also goes on to being, is Nigeria in any position to benefit from this outsourcing initiatives? And while Nigeria faces significant challenges such as the volatile economy, corruption, and all of that, high inflation and poverty initiatives, like the outsourcing to Nigeria initiative, still hold potential for benefiting the country. And some of the reasons, could be the fact that, according to the goodwill of the vice president, it will create job right? Job creation is one, because outsourcing initiatives have the potential to create millions of job opportunities, which can alleviate and unemployment and poverty in Nigeria. Another, angle to it would be the fact that it allows for economy diversification, and by this, it focuses on BPO and IT-enabled services. Nigeria can diversify its economy away from from oil dependency, right? Which is very crucial for long-term stability and growth. Now, it also allows to utilize the, it allows the utilizing of talent pool, where Nigeria has a large skilled workforce, right? Which, if properly harnessed, it can be competitive in the global outsourcing market. And also the support of the government is highlighted, in the press release, that it can provide the necessary infrastructure and resources to attract and also support private investment in outsourcing, right? There's also the angle, the vice, that, if you look at the whole initiative, there is a place of global demand, where despite domestic challenges that Nigeria faces, there's still global demand for outsourcing services, and Nigeria can also position itself to somewhat capture a share of this market. However, it is very, very essential to address the underlying issues such as corruption, such as inflation, such as economic instability, to really fully realize the benefits of outsourcing initiatives, right? Now, without addressing these challenges, it will be almost as though you're putting, water in a basket, and that might just be something that nobody wants to, engage in that kind of a situation, putting water in a basket and not seeing the proof of or the dividends of why you are into outsourcing in the first place, right? But we'll still we'll get through to our guest right about now, and of course have this conversation with him. Like I said, is in the person of Adefolari Olamilekan, and is an economist. And as we get through to him, you also might want to have the studio numbers, so that you can be a part of the conversation as well as we dissect these issues. And you might also want to consider, what this initiative means for Nigeria, and how Nigeria is going to benefit from the initiative, right? What does this initiative mean? And how Nigerians are going to benefit from it. That is what stands out in the conversation right here, right? And then there are also several concerns about that come as a result of questions that may arise in view of outsourcing to Nigeria initiative. Now, one of those very questions will be, or angle to look at, will be the place of quality of infrastructure. Now, is Nigeria's infrastructure, particularly in terms of ICT, sufficient to support the demands of a global outsourcing company? Right? That is one question to, ask when we begin to put out initiatives like this. And then you might also want to consider, how stable is Nigeria's political environment, and if there are any risk of political instability that could impact outsourcing operations, right? And then in terms of security, what measures are in place to ensure the security of data and intellectual property, right? For companies outsourcing, to Nigeria. And then even though the vice president had said that there is a high level of talent and skill and all of that, there might also be the concern of whether or not there is a robust plan in place, right? whether or not there is a robust plan in place to continuously develop and enhance the skills of Nigerians' workforce, especially towards meeting and the evolving demands of outsourcing industry. And then the regulatory environment is another aspect of it that one might consider, right? In terms of regulations, are there any regulatory hurdles or uncertainties that could affect the ease of doing business for outsourcing companies in Nigeria, right? And if there are, how competitive is it? How does Nigeria's cost structure and overall competitiveness also compare to other outsourcing destinations, particularly in terms of labor cost and quality of service? And then, even though that much has been said, you might also want to look, at the sustainability. How sustainable, is it? Will the outsourcing initiative contributes to sustainable economic development in Nigeria? If the vice president said it would, but then are there other risks, of exploitation or negative social impacts? And then the place of inclusivity is very essential. How inclusive are the outsourcing initiatives in terms of providing opportunities for marginalized groups, especially the women and rural communities? And then you and I know that the government cannot do it all by itself, right? And there would be a need for some level of heightened partnership. Some level of heightened partnership is very, very essential. So what partnerships and collaborations are in place, between the government, the private sector, the international organizations, and to supporting the success of outsourcing initiatives in the country, and the long-term viability of this very initiative. What is the long-term vision for Nigeria's outsourcing industry, and how will it adapt to the changing global trends and technologies? In all of this, in all of its ramification, looking at it holistically. Now, addressing these concerns, and questions will be very crucial, to ensuring the success and sustainability of, outsourcing initiatives in Nigeria. And then you might also want to consider what other areas, right, of concern does this outsourcing initiative cover, and how can the informal sector of the economy as well as the MSMEs benefit from this initiative, right? And some school of thought is saying that with regards to this, the Outsourcing Nigeria initiative may also cover the following areas of concern, and one of such concern is the ethical standards, especially ensuring adherence to ethical standards and fair labor practices in outsourcing operations to protect the rights, and fair labor practices in outsourcing operation to protect the rights of well-being of workers. Now, you also might look at the place of environmental impact, especially considering the environmental impact of outsourcing activities and promoting sustainable practices within the industry. Now, there is also the issue and concern of digital divide, where there's a need to address the digital divide to ensure that all the segments of the population have some access to the skills and resources needed to participate, in the outsourcing economy. But then recall that in the past administration, the then Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, and come out to saying that we only have people who are churned out of institutions, but we don't have employable graduates, and that really raised some thoughts as to the other facets of our lives that need some attention. And some would say that, look, if you cannot get skills within the four walls of the university, but then we have vocational institutions that teach skill acquisition and all of that. Now, does this mean that we are in a deficit when it comes to the type of education that we indeed practice in the country? Does it also mean that we do not have youths that are well versed in terms of skills, in terms of talent, and all of that, as against what the Vice President Shetima has come to say, that we are based on our population, that we have, you know, the manpower, we have the labor, we have the human resources, you know, to be able to handle or to become outsource agents, you know, for outsourced companies right there worldwide, and that this would help reposition Nigeria. But do we indeed have that if if Nigeria's situation is one where it's all about the paper in the sense that it's all about your certificate, and using colloquial language, is not your certificate. Certificate, of course, in this sense, has to do with your talent or your skill and all of that. Do we have people who indeed own their skills and have the cultural sensibility or sensitivity, you know, in outsourcing operations to avoid misunderstandings and conflict? Do we have the capacity building in investing in capacity building initiatives to empower local communities and businesses to participate meaningfully in the outsourcing value chain? Right? And as for how the informal sector of the economy and MSMEs can benefit from this initiative, some questions or some angles arise where outsourcing initiatives can create job opportunities, not only in formal, outsourcing companies, but also in supporting industries such as transportation, such as catering and security, as well as benefiting workers within the informal sector space. Now, another angle would be the place of business opportunities. MSMEs can also potentially benefit from outsourcing and IT, support to outsourcing companies, and in that way, they also allow for gainful employment and, of course, build themselves. But then there is also the angle of skills development, right? We cannot say that enough, because outsourcing initiatives may provide training and skill development opportunities for workers, especially in the informal sector, and this will enable for them to transition to formal employment or even start their own businesses. And it also gives access to markets, right? Because this initiative can connect MSMEs to global markets through some levels of some subcontracting opportunities, or even by providing platforms for selling goods and services, to outsourcing companies. Now, we keep talking about technology, and outsourcing is one initiative that would leverage on technology, right? So technology adoption might just be another good advantage, in this regard, where the micro, small, and medium enterprises may adopt new technologies and digital tools as a result of their involvement in outsourcing supply chains, and this will enhance their productivity and competitiveness. And if you look at it overall, the outsourcing to Nigeria initiative has some potential, right? It has some potential to catalyze or speedify economic growth and development, and this would be not just in one sector of the economy, but across the various sectors, and including the informal economy and MSMEs, and through job creation, through skills development, and access to new markets and opportunities. However, it will be essential to ensure that these benefits of outsourcing are equally distributed and equitably distributed, and that these measures are in place to indeed mitigate any potential negative impact on vulnerable groups. Now, currently, you might also want to consider the fact that some outsourcing initiatives in Nigeria include, the Outsource Global, which is of course an Nigerian outsourcing company that provides business process outsourcing, that is BPO services to clients globally. Now, what they do, they offer services such as customer support, data entry and back office operations, employing local talent to even deliver cost-effective solutions to international clients. And then you also have the Digital Code, which is more, attuned or conformed to cybersecurity and digital forensics company. It is based in Nigeria. It also offers, outsourcing services in the area of information security management, cyber risk assessment, as well as compliance. And their services is to protect the digital assets and comply with regulatory requirements, as well as contribute to the overall security and stability of the Nigerian economy. So there are quite a number of outsourcing, companies right there. We've got the InterSwitch, InterSwitch is just one of it, and Deller, and all of these initiatives and companies are put together to contribute to the Nigerian economy by creating job opportunities as well as facilitating business growth and innovation. Now, they also help and showcasing the country's potential and and talent on the international stage. But these are not without challenges, as many people will say that as much as we have great initiatives, we have great reform, to put in, the question would be, how are we able to indeed tackle the issues out, because outsourcing initiatives and companies operating in Nigeria face several challenges, and these are due to the realities of the Nigerian system. And some of these, challenges include, infrastructural deficiencies, right? Where Nigeria's, infrastructure, including power, power supply, including internet connectivity, including transportation networks, is often a time unreliable and inadequate. So power as an infrastructure is one thing that should also be looked into as one of those challenges, and all of these lead to increased costs and operational disruptions. Right? So it goes further to saying that, look, maybe, just maybe, what we need is not, to look outside the shores of Nigeria, but to look within, look inward, and then looking at how we can, set things straight, put things in the right perspective, and get things that are not working to begin to work, as if these initiatives must come to fruition. And then some other challenges might also include political instability, because Nigeria has experienced periods of political instability and some form of uncertainty, as many people are tinkering about what's next, what comes next, what does the future hold. And this can create an unpredictable business environment. Now, political unrest, as changes in government policies, as well as regulatory inconsistencies, can also disrupt outsourcing operations, as well as deter investment in a time when Nigeria is already looking out to the AU and the UN for some assistance, for some partnership. And of course, there has been rallies by the president outside the shores of Nigeria, to seeing that we are also able to woo investors into the country. And then the other angle, or the other aspect as a challenge that might be that might work inimical to this very laudable project as put together by as launched by the Vice President Kashim Shettima right there, would be corruption and bureaucracy, right? Where corruption and bureaucracy inefficiencies prevalent in Nigeria, and this can pose significant challenges for outsourcing companies. In fact, bribery, extortion, and red tape can increase the cost of doing business, and hinder growth as well as expansion efforts. Right? You can also recall that while the president was out there in Doha, in Qatar, he had, he had spoken to the investors, saying that, look, should you be accosted by anybody to give bribe and all of that, you have the free way to me. You will have free access to me. You can report any of such institutions or anybody that is trying to make your job harder, or trying to work against your business in the country. And so all of these concerns are very, very should be taken into consideration. So some are already saying, some quarters are saying, Vice President, you have put a good and laudable structure in terms of these outsourcing initiatives, where you say it's been flagged off in Borno State, in Gombe State, I beg your pardon, and that it will give 2,000 jobs to the Gombe youth, for starters, and that could also be spread across every other state of Nigeria. But then have we been able to put into context the security situation, concerns, as there has been many calls from Nigerians, stakeholders, CSOs, and pressure groups, saying that, look, it's time that we fought decisively, the insecurity situation in the country and nip it in the bud, so that we can begin to face other things, other productive courses, in the country, and move forward. Because if there is civil unrest, if there is the issue of terrorism, if there is also the prevailing issue of kidnappings and all of that, particularly in certain regions in the country, then we might just be facing the risk of not having these investors, as well as allowing for this outsourcing initiative to come to fruition, because security risk can impact the safety of employees and the security of business operations, and this would also lead to disruptions and increased operating cost. And this is, of course, something that any business, any profit-making business, would not want to dabble into. But then there is also that angle of a skills gap, where while Nigeria is a large and youthful population, there is often a mismatch between the skills demanded by outsourcing companies and the skills available within the workforce, right? So a lack of technical expertise, language proficiency, and soft skills can limit the competitiveness of Nigerian outsourcing companies, right? So to mitigate these challenges, there has to also be several measures that should be taken into consideration if we must mitigate, these, challenges that we might face, as a result of getting this initiative up and running, as a result of also getting this initiative to meet the purpose for which it was designed, right? But then you also want to get your voice in. You want to tell me what you think about the outsource initiative by the Vice President, Kashim Shettima. Feel these challenges may be, and what should be looked into, for this initiative to come to fruition, to work in this country, especially with the kind of population that we have, over 200 million people and counting, and the numerous human resources, as well as resources that we have, in the country. You could as well add your voice on in the conversation via the studio line 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909 705 44 The WhatsApp portal number, once again, is 0909-705-4450. Still trying to get through to our guest, but it seems as though it's almost impossible to get through to him. The technicians right there are looking into it. But then let's get your calls in. Hello, good morning. Okay, that's a miss though. Keep the calls coming through. Let us know what you think about this initiative, especially in within the Nigerian system, as well as looking at the challenges that we face, and these initiatives coming at the heels of a country that is going through a food crisis at the moment, that is also seeing a rave of kidnappings here and there, is going through some levels of insecurity. It doesn't mean that because we are going through all of these, we should not be able to also look at looking at initiatives that should empower the youth or the peoples of the country. But there are thoughts that are saying that, look, first things first before we begin to dabble into these other things. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Alamin calling from Central Area.
All right, Alamin, welcome aboard. Let's have your thoughts. What do you think about this outsourcing?
Yes, thank you. I think it's a welcome development, but I think I'm still waiting to see more details.
Right.
As to, I want to believe it will be only in areas where we are lacking, that manpower and the technical know-how. And then for me, I was on a state conversation on X some days ago, and that is what we've been talking about the expatriate employment that the government is, the policy that the government
is EEL. Yes, EEL.
Yes, and I'm saying, look, I think it's a welcome development, but for me, I only need that to be implemented in 2 sectors of our national economy. The first would be one in the area of ICT development, and then the second would be in our recreation and entertainment sector.
Right.
Why do I say this? When it comes to our ICT sector, yes, we are still a third world, developing country.
Mm-hmm.
So we are not yet as advanced, and then there is hardly, unlike in the Western world where almost all the ICT giant headquarters, are struggling to have offices, but it is not the same yet with us in Nigeria. There might be a little bit, a little bit difficult to have such, policy implemented. If you look at China, one of the expatriate employment law, where you go there, you are mandated by the Chinese law to share your technological, what do you call it now? With them, you share your technological knowledge with the indigenous, Chinese companies. It is embedded in the Chinese law. So these are, areas I want the federal government, to also copy from. Look, if you're coming to start up, an ICT hub in Nigeria, you must also work, with the relevant government agencies, the NIDTA, the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and others, to also do the same. And in the area of recreation, Udak, I don't know if you are one of those, that love life, like really go, chill. 10 out of 12 recreation centers in Abuja is being run by Lebanese. The ones that are being run by Nigerians, when you go there after 2-3 weeks, it is a total shambles and mess. Almost every recreation center, the recreational parks, the hotels, the banks, they are being run by foreigners. So this is where the Ministry of Culture and Tourism must look in. What exactly is responsible? Is it the area of work ethics? Is it what exactly is the challenge? Why those that are being managed by indigenous Nigerians are always collapsing? They're always folding up. But the ones that are being run by the Lebanese and other, foreign expatriates are booming. When you go there, it's a 24 hours, gathering. But when you go to that of Nigeria, when it's 5 p.m., they won't close at the end.
Right.
Find their way. So these are the areas the government must look at and take advantage of. Yes, we want foreign investment. We do not want a situation where all of our jobs will be taken by foreigners. Particularly the recreation center is a multi-billion-dollar investment, sector, we cannot afford to leave it in the hands of expatriates. We must also develop it and also maximize the opportunity there for our own, individual and family development. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, though. Appreciate that. And yes, that is quite a lot, to be taken into consideration. And there has also been, that call by the government saying that it's high time we began to look inwardly. And we cannot say that enough. I mean, in the past administration, there were talks, where it was about buying Nigeria. It was about, supporting Nigeria products and all of that, but have we really gotten there yet? Are we getting it rightly at the moment? But could this be the step in the right direction, just like the caller said right there? And if it is a step in the right direction, how do we consolidate on the matter to ensuring that at least Nigerians are also those who should be in the numbers when it comes to these outsourcing initiative? Well, you can still let me in as to what you think about this, what you feel the merit and the demerits could be, and how this the government can better the lot of this initiative to ensuring that there is gainful employment, to ensuring that there is job satisfaction, because that's one thing, and to ensuring that we have the youths or the people, the teeming youths or populace that would indeed fit the kind of skills that outsource companies may require. 0907-353-0044 is that number. The other number is 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. Still talking about the matter at hand. There is also the point of looking at several measures that are taken by the government, to ensuring that this initiative indeed comes to fruition. One of such measure is the place of investing in infrastructure, right, where the government and private sector investment is very, very critical, especially in infrastructure such as power generation, such as telecommunications, and transportation. And it's quite essential to improve the operating environment, for outsourcing companies. And this may include upgrading the physical infrastructure and expanding, broadband, access to remote areas. Another angle to it might be the place of putting in place stable regulatory environment, where it is, is more like ensuring a stable regulatory environment with transparent and very consistent policies that can provide certainty and confidence for outsourcing companies, as well as streamlining these regulatory processes, reducing bureaucracy, and combating corruption, very essential for creating a conducive business environment, right? And this, if taken into consideration, might just begin to set the tone, for an evidential process, especially seen in the light of the outsource initiative. Now, there is also the need, or a measure that needs to be taken in terms of implementing a robust security measure, including physical security, including the cyber security, including the risk management protocols, and all of this can help mitigate security risks for outsourcing companies, and collaborating with law enforcement agencies and investment in employee safety and security training are also very, very important. Right now, let's also look at this one right here via the WhatsApp portal number. And this one right here says, good morning to you. Good morning to you too. It says, I am Diane and I'm messaging you from Galadimawa. All right, Diane right there, all the way from Galadimawa, is sending a message. And she says that there is a need there is a need to invest in education and skills development programs to equip the workers or the workforce with the relevant technical, digital, and soft skills needed for outsourcing jobs, and that can help to address the skills gap, right? Well, in terms of the skills gap right there, Diane, thank you for that one, talking about the need, to invest in education and skills development programs, right? There's been quite a number of skills development programs right there, that the government has put in place. But then, have we been able to see, have we been able to, leverage on these skills acquisition programs to ensuring that those who are going through these programs are, leaving, are leaving to the expect that might, or whose job is to ensure that these programs are very sustainable, and the people who have come out of these programs are indeed practicing and adding value to the economy. Well, there's quite a number of things to do in that regard, but you might also look at a place of skills development, right? And the place of partnerships between the government, the academia, and industry. All of this can facilitate, right? All of this can facilitate skills training and workforce development initiatives. Now, the other place to look at will be the place of diversification and risk management, right? Now, when you diversify in operations across different regions and sectors within the Nigeria space, could as well, as diversifying clients' portfolios globally can help mitigate risks associated with political instability. It could also mitigate risk that associated with security concerns. It could also, help in the place where an economic is volatile in terms of economic volatility. Now, by addressing these challenges as well and implementing appropriate mitigation strategies, outsourcing initiatives can enhance their resilience, and they can also enhance their competitiveness and sustainability in the global market. And now, if the above listed, possible solutions are visible or visibly unavailable, let's think about what can the purpose of outsourcing as an initiative designed to position Nigeria within the global BPO market initiative be achieved. So if with all that we have talked about right there, can the purpose of an outsourcing initiative really come to fruition? Well, if these solutions that we have outlined, are looked into, it could, if they're unavailable rather, or not effectively implemented, achieving the purpose of outsourcing as an initiative designed to position Nigeria, within the global BPO market may face significant challenges, and what will eventually happen is that competitive disadvantage, is one of such things that would come to be. There will be competitive disadvantage whereby without essential infrastructure improvements, a stable regulatory environment, and adequate security measures, Nigerian outsourcing companies may just struggle to compete, with their counterparts, in other countries that offer a more favorable, operating condition. Now, this competitive advantage can hinder the growth and attractiveness of Nigeria's outsourcing industry, especially within the global space. So there will also be risk aversion, where in the absence of reliable infrastructure, political stability and security, international, businesses or international clients may be somewhat hesitant, to outsource their business processes to Nigeria due to concerns that border around and about operational disruptions, that also border around data scrutiny or security risk, that also border around business continuity issues. Well, in simple terms, risk aversion simply means being cautious, or being hesitant, to take risks. When someone or a company is risk averse, they prefer to, to avoid situations or decisions, that involve uncertainty or potential negative outcomes. Well, in the context of outsourcing, right? You might also want to look at it at the fact that we're, these businesses or international clients, may want to, as a result of political instability, as a result of unstable infrastructure, decide not to engage the outsourced space, right, in the country, and that might just have or lead to potential losses or negative outcomes right there. So risk aversion can also limit the opportunities for Nigerian outsourcing companies to attract foreign investment and expand their client, base. But also the skill gap widening becomes the order of the day, where the lack of effective skills development programs and educational infrastructure may exacerbate the skills gap in the workforce. And this would make it very, very difficult for Nigerian, outsourcing companies to access the talent pool needed to deliver, high quality services to global clients. Now, this widening skills gap, can also undermine Nigeria's, competitiveness as an outsourcing destination and inhibits the growth potential of the industrial, limited right there, of the industry, I beg your pardon. So not forgetting the economic impact, in that without the necessary conditions for outsourcing companies to thrive and grow, right, the economic impact of a outsourcing industry in Nigeria may be limited, and that would be come off, as a resultant in missed opportunities for job creation, skills development, technology transfer, and economic diversification, which are very, very essential to sustainable growth and development right there. But then it is also seen, within the global space that Nigeria, though we are third world, or we may be third world in terms of technology, there has been some giant strides, where Nigeria is also accounting for, a substantial technology base within the Africa, continent, and we are finding our feet. But then the question of how much, sponsorship or, has gone into that very sector, leaves to bear. Because some would want to say that it is very important for us to constantly, drive the technology, industry in Nigeria or sector in Nigeria to ensuring that we're able to, give answers, to some of the some of the challenges that we face. Even security is one of such, challenges that the technology sector could, look into and allow for us to have a seamless operation whereby we're able to, nip in the bud, those who are indeed not supporting the peace of the Nigerian polity. Well, overall, while outsourcing has the potential to position Nigeria within the global BPO, market, and also contribute to economic growth and development, achieving the goal requires addressing the underlying challenges, and implementing effective, solutions to create an enabling environment for outsourcing companies to succeed in the country. Well, without visible progress in addressing these challenges, the full potential of outsourcing as an economic initiative in Nigeria may not be realized. Well, I want to say a big thank you to you, Diane and Al-Amin, for jumping on it and of course sharing your thoughts on the issue. Thank you so much also for listening. I'm sure that you've gotten some education with regards this launch and this initiative is put together by the federal government in a bid to seeing that Nigerians and the economy of Nigeria, as well as the standard of living of the country, is enhanced and not depreciated in the face of the challenges that